How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tear Talk. Guys, I have a new update for the Amory Jones case. This is coming out of Ohio. If you are not familiar with it, I will briefly go over what happened, but I definitely recommend you check out my video I put on this 2 days ago, I believe. And then also I will be doing another video tomorrow on this where I'm going to have a guest who is a mental health counselor because there's a lot here to discuss when it comes to juveniles being just aggressors, having predatory behavior. But there is an update that is emerging that I want to put out there because this could change how we look at everything. So bear with me, guys. I wrote this down. But if you guys, let me just show you who the little girl is. Beautiful little girl. There she is. And here's another picture of her. And then on September 13th, there's how she looked. Beaten, sexually assaulted, hair pulled out. Unique thing about this is she's 5, but the suspects that did it to her, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 10-year-old. But I have a crazy update right now. Originally, when this was posted a couple of days ago, it was pushed that it was 3 boys. They were the suspects, 8, 9, and 10-year-old boys. But now I'm being told that the 10-year-old could have been a female. And that changes the whole dynamic. So I need to bring to you a breaking update in the case of 5-year-old Amory Jones. So if you're not familiar with this case, let me give you the basics. Amory is a kindergartner. She's a kindergartner. She could have been playing outside of her apartment. We're trying to figure out how she got either taken from the home. She could have been lured, or was she in the home and went out, or was she playing out front? That part's not clear. But either way, she ends up with the 8-year-old, the 9-year-old, and the 10-year-old. When she was lured away by 3 children and taken to a wooded area. There, she was brutally sexually assaulted and left with severe injuries that required hospitalization. The 3 attackers were reported to be boys, aged 8, 9, and 10. But now new information is emerging that could change everything. Sources are telling me that the 10-year-old is actually a girl. I want to be clear, this has not been officially confirmed yet, but if true, this revelation forces us to step back and rethink this entire case. I actually have a great show tomorrow night with a mental health counselor, so this is great. I have to revise some of my questions if this is confirmed. So when we hear about child-on-child violence, especially sexual aggression, we almost always picture boys as the perpetrators. That's how the headlines were written, and that's how the story was framed. But now we may be faced with harsher reality. Violence at this age is not just a boy problem. But before we dive into what this means, let's not lose sight of the victim at the center of this. So we got Amory again. Amory Jones, a kindergartner, a little girl who should have been playing, learning, and feeling safe. Instead, she endured something no child should ever experience. And whatever we learn about the attackers, their ages, their genders, their backgrounds, none of it changes what was taken from her. Our job now is to make sure this never happens to another child. So what does this mean that this information is confirmed? Now, guys, when I did the show a couple of days ago, we talked about a lot. We go into real raw details about what happened to her based on a Facebook post that her mother put up. The mother puts it out in very graphic detail. So if you guys want to check it out, please check it out. But we also covered some laws that relate to juvenile offenders, especially when it comes to these type of offenses, predatory offenses, rape, beating someone, pretty much leaving them for dead. So now if there's a girl that comes into the mix, if she's the one that is the 10-year-old, that changes the dynamic a little bit. So society tends to view girls as nurturers, as caretakers, as less physically aggressive. Because of that, warning signs in girls are often overlooked or dismissed. If a young boy shows aggression, people call it a red flag. But if a girl shows troubling behavior, it may be brushed off as acting out or emotional. That blind spot can allow dangerous behavior to grow unnoticed. Second, it makes us rethink trauma and exposure. Children don't invent sexualized violence on their own. It comes from somewhere, whether through abuse, exposure, or pornography, or being surrounded by violence. Kids learn what they see. When a girl is involved, it forces experts to consider how trauma affects genders differently and how girls may channel their experiences into aggression in ways adults don't expect. Now, guys, one of the things that we mentioned in the show a couple of days ago was that for children to commit such a violent act, a lot of the people that were responding back believed that they could have been exposed to it somehow, whether it was watching pornography or being sexually assaulted themselves. So we believe that there should definitely be a deep dive into the home of all three of these suspects. Third, it reshapes the group dynamic. With three children acting together, peer influence is always a factor, but when a girl is part of the group, the psychology can shift. Was she a leader in this attack? Was she following the boys' lead? Or was the presence of a girl what made the others feel like they could go even further because it blurred the lines of what seemed acceptable? These are difficult but necessary questions. Group dynamics among children can be volatile and unpredictable. In cases like this, one child may instigate, another may escalate, and another may participate out of fear or a desire to belong. When we learn that one of the attackers is a girl, it adds complexity to how we interpret the roles each child played. Research shows that girls can be just as aggressive as boys, but they often express it differently through relational harm, manipulation, or in this case, direct physical violence. Understanding how she was involved, whether as instigator, participant, or follower, is crucial, not just for justice, but for prevention. Because if we misread the dynamic, we misread the warning signs for next time. Now, fourth, it complicates the legal response. Juvenile justice systems are already ill-equipped to handle cases involving children this young, but when a girl is involved, the system often struggles even more. Historically, girls in the justice system are treated through a lens of vulnerability rather than accountability, which can be appropriate in many cases, but also means that violent behavior in girls is sometimes minimized or excused. The question becomes, how do we balance trauma-informed care with the reality that serious harm was done? How do we ensure all three children are held accountable in ways that are developmentally appropriate while also getting them the help they clearly need? And finally, it raises the issue of prevention. If we continue to assume only boys are capable of this type of violence, then we risk missing critical signs in young girls. Schools, parents, and communities have to recognize that aggression, cruelty, and even sexual harm can come from either gender, and that intervention must be gender aware and trauma informed. And I'm going to cover a lot of this in what we're going to discuss tomorrow with the mental health counselor. If you guys have any questions, hit them up in the comments, and I'll try to add those questions to our dialogue. So tomorrow night, I'll be joined by a mental health counselor. Her name is Denise Schoenwald, and we're going to unpack this new dimension of the Amarie Jones case. Now, we're still waiting for official confirmation on the gender of the 10-year-old, and we'll update you as soon as we know more. But even the possibility of this detail changes the conversation. We'll be asking, how does the involvement of a girl change our understanding of what happened? Does gender influence the way we should respond to these warning signs? And most importantly, what can be done to prevent children, boys or girls, from ever reaching the point of harming another child the way Amarie was harmed? This case was already heartbreaking, but with this update, it also becomes a wake-up call. If we want to protect children, we have to confront uncomfortable truths, and this could be one of them. This isn't just about one tragic incident in one community. This is about a pattern we're seeing nationwide. Children exposed to violence and trauma at younger and younger ages, sometimes reenacting what's been done to them or what they've witnessed. And if we don't start recognizing the signs early, regardless of gender, we'll keep seeing cases like Amarie's. Tomorrow night's conversation isn't just about blame or shock. It's about understanding. It's about asking the hard questions that make us uncomfortable, because those are the questions that lead to real change. We owe it to Amarie and to every child at risk to look at this honestly, even when the truth doesn't fit the narrative we expected. So stay with me, all right? Because this is a conversation every parent, educator, or community member needs to hear, and that will be posted hopefully tomorrow night. As always, guys, stay safe, and talk to you soon.